wake up, do this for the cows, and then do this for the cows. Then you take you get what I mean? That's what I was highlighting in that concept of time thing.
Oh, okay, now, yeah. I read some about that too.
But now I'm going deeper with it to say, look at the cave art. The cave art is even showing you down in South Africa. Then when you get to Egypt, you see these same damn cows painted with the same damn red ochre. So, I'm gonna get into it, and you can use that cow and do what?
We live, y'all.
Oh, well, you can still use that cow, and you can go up into Egypt, and then you can start going over into Western Africa. But I'll get into how you can do that later.
From Time Machine.
Hold on, y'all.
So since we live, peace, everybody. Before I go to mute, on the panel and the audience.
Yeah. What was I finna do? Okay, shoot, I've been looking at the wrong thing too. I don't think.
I gotta figure this out.
What you gotta figure out, Shawn?
Secure the bag, Shawn.
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah. What a family.
All right, I want to let y'all know in the chat right now. Y'all heard it here first. Shawn, any Herit is now team MacBook.
I Windows, yo. I got the Mac.
Yeah, I got the Mac. Hold on 1 second, y'all. Y'all help me share this show too, man. Real quick. Oh shit. Boy, my mouth done got bad, boy.
Hey, that wind was so strong, bro. I'm getting a message talking about siding came off my house.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm finna pull up and be pissed.
Maybe ain't but a piece or two gonna come off of that, Shawn.
Yeah, that's an easy little fix.
Yeah, it might not be bad.
Hey, if it's got the folder with the question mark on there, what I need to do?
You hear that? Not Sutekh, but Sutekh.
What's that?
He said something about a folder with a question mark on there. What do you need to do?
You got a folder with a question mark.
Yeah, I think I hit. I don't know. I'm trying to make sure. Well, he cleared his data, so wasn't nothing on there. Right there. Shit.
I ain't never seen that.
I just made it do that though.
How you do that?
Shit, I don't know.
Turn it off. Hold the off button. You live, man. Go ahead and go home, Shawn.
We talking like we ain't even on there. Hold on, y'all. We finna get started.
Yeah, I'm here at home.
Yeah, we finna get started, y'all. I'm just trying to share the show. More places. Yeah. Like we ain't even on there. Hold on, y'all. We finna get started. Who was that?
Yeah, I'm here at home.
My bad. That was me. Let me mute.
Oh. All right. I shared it where I'm gonna share it. Hold on. Yeah, y'all share it. Put it in the back. I know y'all in the Dagger Squad and Man Cave and Seshew. Put it in there if y'all mind. Hold on, let me get Sutekh in here. Promote the panel. All right. Share my screen. You should be in here.
Yeah, I'm here.
All right. Hold on, y'all.
Man in the full knowledge of himself is a superb and supreme
creation. When man becomes possessor of the knowledge of himself, he becomes master of his environment, the captain of his own ship, the director of his own destiny, the accomplisher of his own ends. Man should understand himself because man is full of knowledge, and this knowledge is a gift of nature. When Mother Nature created man, she deprived him of nothing. He was given the faculty of understanding all things around him. This faculty for understanding has not been taken away from him. None of his senses have been taken away from him. So there is no excuse for the black man. I'm bridging my team, red, black, and green, queens and kings, blue, now green, I shade, green, purple, I shade, five, I'm ripping my team, red, black, and green, queens and kings, salute, now scream, I shade, green, purple, I shade, five, I shade. All right. I'll come back to that. I'll come back to that too. Before I get started, I want to say ETM Hotep, Dua Duau, Dua Aku, Dua Netcher, Fatmu Alafie, Fatmu Riri, Majuba Iba I Gungun, Majuba Iba I Gungun, Majuba Iba I Lakba, Majuba Iba I Lakba, Igungun Kiki Igungun. I always want to give honor and praises to the ancestors, because without the ancestors, we wouldn't be here. We are our ancestors. Welcome back to Kofi Piesie TV. We took a break last week. I know y'all, we've been consistent for the last 4 months, been consistent. Each Sunday we took a break. But we're back. We took a break last week, but we're back today. I got a nice presentation for y'all today. We got brother Herit, Shawn, Khalfani, Sutekh and Rob Mariaman, Vasa Nicolo Gullah, and Sutekh on the panel. Normal people, the Kofi Piesie research team. If you don't know who we are, you're definitely going to get familiar with who we are. Anybody got anything, man, before I jump into the presentation? And peace to those in the chat. Peace to brother Zane. Peace to my fiance Nanyamika Tobaz. Peace to Enigma 9x9, Lamar Pope. Y'all please share the show. Also like the show. But anybody on the panel, man, y'all got anything, man, before I jump into it?
Yeah, man. Say Lafayette, I need peace to the panel. My brothers on the panel. Peace to everybody in the chat. Peace to those who will see it later in the archives. Just glad to be here this Sunday. Ready to see what Kofi got for us. Let's get into it.
Peace to everybody. Looking forward to another great presentation. We've been working hard on this project. I'm really excited about that as well. So let's just see what Brother Kofi have in store for us. Like and share the show.
Anybody else? I guess not, man. Before we get started, advertising real quick, and then we'll get into it. Dang, my bad, y'all. I'm just messing up. Yes, sir. Sutekh, we gonna have to get yours too, man. I'm gonna have to get you on. You got to put it in the thing. I thought you was gonna put it in there, man, so I can download. I need it. No, we need that one too.
Yeah, I'll put the video in the back chat.
Yeah, so I can download it. All right. The day's presentation is called Kofi Piesie. Lord have mercy, and I need to change that. Peace, brother Rand. But it's supposed to be Kofi Piesie dedication and appreciation for the late great ancestor John Mbiti by myself. Kofi Piesie. First, I want to give a Hotel Dina suit. John Mbiti, who is now a late great elder, he passed a few months ago in 2019. So I want to do a Hotel Dina suit for him. Hotel Dina suit. Usaid Neb Jadu Netcher Neb Adu DF Paret in Hinket Ka Apet Seshet Minket Nebet Neferet Wabet Unket Netcher M Nka Imako Makaru, which the translation is our offering in which the kings gives. Wusir, Lord of Jadu, the great deity, Lord of Obitus, that he may give a voice offering of calf, fowl, linen, alabaster, and all that is good, and pure things on which a deity lives, to the revered one, the ancestor John Mbiti, justified or true of voice. And he is Makaru. All right, I always have to put a disclaimer out here before I get started. My disclaimer is I am not a teacher, but merely a student sharing information. And that information provided is for the educational purpose only. And if you are in doubt, do the research and have it verified by someone qualified. I reserve the right to change the focus of this presentation, to shut down, sell or exchange the terms of the use at my own discretion. All trademark, design rights, copyrights, residence names, mottos, logos, avatars, the signals, or mark used or cited by this website or the property of the respective owners. I reserve the right to add information as it comes available, or adapt, changes, improve information as it comes available in the future. Inputs wanted, changes, addition are encouraged. Peace to Sister Tiffany L. French. Peace to Michael 1. I am King Sosa. Peace, brother. I spoke to everybody else. Everybody that follow me know this is my saying. I believe in this saying. I not only talk about this saying, but I demonstrate this saying all the time. As I learn, we all learn. My other phrase, let's get this culture. And one of my new phrases, we must not let our ancestors down. We must not let our ancestors down. All right. I am because this is a quote by John Mbiti. I am because we are, and since we are, therefore I am. All right. Here is a picture of Marcus Garvey here. Here is a picture of Martin Luther King Jr. here. Here is a picture of our brother Malcolm X. Now, the three previous slides above are of three great men of the past: Martin Luther King Jr., which I showed on the first slide, who was a Baptist Christian; Malcolm X, who were a Muslim of the Nation of Islam; and Marcus Garvey, who was a Catholic Christian. We still revere these men and respect them, not for the beliefs, but for the works they put in for us. So for this man, John Mbiti should get the same respect for his contributions for us too. His transition on October the 6th, 2019, and he became an ancestors and the living dead, which means he is physically dead but alive in memories. Majuba Iba John Mbiti. So I threw them first three slides, them slides of Marcus Garvey, Malcolm X, and Martin Luther King. Those are our late great ancestors who contributed a lot for our future. They all put their lives on the line. And we still talk about these guys today. They are still revered And a lot of these guys I named had streets and so forth named out of them. We wear the apparel, whether it's the shirts, the caps, necklaces, or etc. We always remembering their birthdays, whether we're posting things or we're sharing their life lessons with our family. And those guys are, like I said, Martin Luther King is a Baptist Christian. And even though he was a Christian, we still revere him and we still can negate the contributions that he did in his era. Malcolm X, who is a Muslim, who was a Muslim of the Nation of Islam, we cannot negate his contributions as well, even though he is a Muslim. Marcus Garvey, who was also a Christian, who was a Catholic Christian. Just because he was a Christian, we do not negate um, the contributions that he set forth. So with that saying, John, let's get into John Mbiti. So with that same respect that we give Martin Luther King, the same respect that we give Malcolm X, the same respect that we give Marcus Garvey, we should give this man the same respect. He is a great ancestor. I have used a lot of his works in a lot of my presentations, even some of the articles that I have referenced some of his work. But let's get into it. Mbiti was born in Mulugu in Kitu County, Eastern Kenya in 1931. He was one of the 6 children of Samuel Mutuve in Gaanji and Valisi Mbadi Ki Imba. His family was strong Christian background, facilitated his acquisition of education through the African Inland Church and Alliance High School near Nairobi in the University or College of Mercury, then an external college of the University of London, where he graduated in 1953. In 1956 and 1957, he had received a Bachelor of Art degree and a Bachelor in Theology from the Barrington College, Rhode Island. In 1963, he earned a PhD in Theology in Cambridge, after which he was ordained to be a priest in a church in England. So he achieved great accolades. He went through many different higher learners of institutions. Back in Makerere University in 1964, he commenced teaching African traditional religion. It is while here that Mbiti wrote his first book, The African Religion of Philosophy. The text challenged the widely held views then that the African traditional religions were demonic or anti-Christians. I had never heard about African traditional religion, let alone hearing any lecture about it. So I went about doing research to collect some material on which to base my lecture, Mbiti said in March 2020. So Mbiti was raised in Kenya. We know about the missionaries coming into Kenya, setting up shop, the missionaries coming in, setting up institutions, converting their languages into English. Educational curriculum was Western standards and so forth. So this African man that grew up in Kenya had no idea of what African traditional religion were. And the first book, and a lot of people know I have referenced this as well as the other book. He has other different texts, which I'll talk about a little bit later. But how his first book came about was the African traditions, traditions and philosophy came about through him starting to collect information and started to put together lectures at a university that he attended. Now the students began to ask me for a written lectures or notes. Well, he taught it, excuse me. He notes as there were no books on the subject apart from 1 or 2 small works by the English missionary. Eventually, I put together my lecture notes into African religions and philosophy, which, after rejected by publishers, came out in 1969. This is the cover of the book on the side. Vasa has talked about, Vasa, you have referenced this book also too, have you, brother Vasa? African religion. This is only one of the books, but I think
there's not too many projects where y'all put me on where I don't quote Mbiti some kind of slick way. From the family ones to putting together slides, I typically quote them, and a lot from this book.
Yeah. So so this is the book. So again, this book was compilated by input from numerous lectures and compiling them to create a book. But prior to that, again, this African man from Kenya knew nothing about African traditions until he started to research and he started to do field work. Encouraged by publications of the first book, he carried out further research and wrote The Concept of God, which was published in 1970. Revising his PhD thesis, Mbiti published a New Testament eschatological and African backgrounds in 1971. The book explores psycho-spiritual grounds where Africans and Christians might meet. He then followed with introductions in African religion and the prayers of African religion in 1975. He was a director of the WCC Immersual Institution from 1974 to 1980. A member of the Akande, this is the group, this is the people that he belonged to, the tribe that he belonged to. I actually wanted to tie, as I was telling the brothers on the panel, I actually wanted to tie a whole day into John Mbiti. I actually wanted to do something first on his people and then do something on him separately. But due to other things, other prior engagements, I wasn't able to do the presentation on the Akande people today, which is a very interesting people, which I'll do next Sunday on Mossi Warrior Clan. I'll be presenting information on the people that he come from, a community that occupies an area in eastern and southern central Kenya. He was also the first person to translate the Bible into a Kikaba, his people dialect. At the time of his death, Mbiti was emeritus professor of the University of Bern and retired Paris minister of Burdorf, Switzerland. And I think that's where he passed also, was in Switzerland. Okay, I mentioned he was his people was the tribe that he belonged to in Kenya. There are numerous different tribes in Kenya, but he belonged to the Kikabo, the Akabo, the Kabo, not Cabo, but Kemba, Kemba, Akemba, or Kemba tribe. I'm trying to get the names right. All right, time in Africa according to Mbiti. So I thought this was interesting. Our brother Vasa, he touched on this a while back. He talked about time in Africa. And with the field work that Mbiti did a lot of field work. Again, like I said, he was a Christian. And you know, a continental African from Kenya. And through his higher education and learning, he knew nothing about African traditional religion, African spirituality, the way of the ancestors, whatever you may call it. We now I'm going to start calling it Kimoyo. So he began to do a lot of field work, and a lot of the field work that John Mbiti did was he began to study different oral traditions, study oral tradition. He began to study languages, traveling to different places and etc. to get familiar with what African traditional religion is, or what the culture and the tradition pertains besides a Christian perspective. All right, what is time? John Mbiti defines African concept of time as a composition of events which have occurred, those that are taking place now and those which are immediately occurred. Potential time and actual time. Mbiti differentiates between categories of time, viz. Potential time and actual time. These are the two categories pertaining time according to Mbiti dealing with African time. Now, our perspective of time is different than the perspective of time from different ethnic groups. Like I said, he studied his group of people and the which is the Akambo people, and he studied another ethnic group in Kenya called the Kikuyu people, as well as the Igbo people, as well as, if I'm not mistaken, Ashanti. I may be mistaken, but one other ethnic group in Ghana. So he studied and referenced through the language and etc. that their concepts of time is similar. So, I'm not going to throw out and say that every ethnic group or all 33 different ethnic groups in Africa perception of time is the same, but these groups that he have studied, the category began with potential time and actual time, and then again, the whole perspective of time throughout Africa may be the same. I'm just only dealing with what the information that we have. According to Mbiti, any time that cuts out of this two times is no time. He said what has not taken or what is not likelihood is immediate occurrences fell in categories of no time. The first category he called potential time because according to him, what is certain to occur or what falls within the rhythm of the natural phenomenon. It is a category of inevitable or potential time. He went on further to say that if, however, future events are certain to occur, if or they fall within the inevitable rhythm of nature, which we'll get into that because they somewhat believe in the future and somewhat don't believe in the future. We'll get into that. Or if they fall within the inevitable rhythm of nature that is best constituted potential time, according to Mbiti, thinks that when anything falls into the natural rhythm, like seasons of the year, such as events, was certain to occur as such classified as potential time. I'm gonna read that again. Mbiti thinks that when anything falls into the natural rhythm of seasons of the year, such as events, was certain to occur and such classified as potential time. The second category Mbiti calls actual time. Time because it is what the present and past, according to Mbiti. Actual time is therefore what is present and what is the past. It moves backwards rather than forward. And people set their minds not on future things, but chiefly on what is taking place. This brings us to what Mbiti calls the two main dimensions of time, again, which is the present and past. This dimensions of the time in Africa understanding differences from a linear Western understanding of time with a identified past, present, and infinite future. According to Mbiti, the future is virtually absent in African systems of thought because events which lies in it has not taken place. They have not been realized and cannot therefore constitute time. The two dimensions of time dominates African understanding of there are two reasons why Mbiti regards traditional Africans as having a two-dimensional concepts of time. The first time must be experienced to become real for those people. Second, only the past and present has been experienced by anybody. Mbiti has this to say: time has to be experienced in order to make sense or become real. So time does not exist, according to Mbiti, unless it has been experienced, meaning past events or something that it is experiencing right now in real time. A person experiencing time partly in his individual life, partly through the society which goes back to generations before his own birth. Since what is the future has not been experienced, it does not make sense. It cannot therefore constitute parts of time, and people do not know how to think about it unless, of course, it is something which falls within the rhythm of nature of phenomenon. So they don't really think too forward toward the future. But even though and time only exists through um, experiences that is happening right now, or again that may have happened in the past. So according to John Mbiti's slides, the African concept of time denotes events, which either is about occurrences or in the process of realization or the recent experiences, which I just explained. Mbiti, having carried out the intensive research in Eastern African languages of the Kikamba and the Kikuyu, found out that there is no concrete word that expresses to convey the ideal of distant future. Mbiti doctoral dissertation purposes of the key combo name for the two dimensions of time, Tini and Mituku. Tini covers a far or remote past, and Mituki, the immediate past to the near future, there being no concept for the remote future according to Mbiti. I have a note. In later work, precisely African religion, which I talked about in the philosophy, Mbiti adopted the Swahili word Zamini and Sasa, which is the same two times that he gave earlier. Mbiti maintains such categories of justifying by acknowledging the verb tense available to the language. Of the tribes had studies. To illustrate, he listed 9 tense commonly used among the Akambo, and the Kikuyu of Kenya, providing examples of illustrating distinctions between the Zami and the Sasa. He went further to say that the 3 verb tense reference to futures covers the period about 6 months or beyond 2 years of most. So the most that they can do toward the future, they saying is 6 to 9 months if they're looking toward the future. So according to Mbiti, at the most, we can say that this short future is only an extension of the present. People have little or no activity interest in events that lies in the future beyond at most of 2 years for now. And the language concerns last words by which such events can be conceived or expressed. African concepts of time is a concrete and substantive. It is epochal as it is wrapped around events and activities. The African time is usually a time for a time to or a time of. And BT argues that the essence for the African is what he called phenomenon calendars, in which the events or phenomenons which constitute time or reckoning are considered and their relationship with one another as they take place, i.e., they constitute time. For example, an expectant mother counting the lunar months of her pregnancy, thus time is meaningful at the point of the event and not mathematical extracting times of counting. The day, the month, the year, 1 times, or human history, or all divided up in the reckoning according to their specific events for before it is this that makes them meaningful. Another example, Abidi uses the rising of the sun as an event which is recognized by the whole community. For this understanding, it is irrelevant whether the sun rises at 5 a.m. or 7 a.m. What is important is the events of its rising. For instance, if I decide to sacrifice to the gods at the sunset, it doesn't matter whether the sun sets at 12 or 10 minutes after 12. What matters is the fact that the sacrifice is happening when it happens. This brings the focus to the fact that time in Africa, time does not control human beings, rather human beings manipulates and control time. Man is not slave to time. Instead, he makes as much time as he wants. So again, according to the time only takes place when things are occurring right then or in the past. And time does not matter, again, when we look at the seasons. They understand. Somebody got some?
Yeah, I was gonna say that's where they define us as polychronic. saying that we look at multiple things happening at once. I think Wikipedia will explain it to you, like in the sense of while we're doing our live stream, multiple live streams can be happening at the same time. Multiple phones can be going on.
Right.
You get where I'm going. Polychronic, multiple things can be happening at once. It's how they define us.
Okay. Yeah, so it doesn't matter of the time because, and let's just say for an example, when we talk about time, you know, they don't go actually off of the time. We know we had to be to work at 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock, or we have an event at 8 o'clock. Time doesn't matter until actually a phenomenon or an event is taking place, like a phenomenon in nature. That's when time exists, and they do things off of the phenomenon. Meaning the two examples that I gave you with the woman count and the lunar counter, or this and where certain things that may happen where they may make a sacrifice at a certain particular time of the day. They may be the rising of the sun. We know the sun doesn't, you know, the sun rises at at numerous different times, you know. Oh shoot, this stuff keep falling. For example, you know, if you was to go feed the cattle, let's say if you was to feed the cattle, you know what I'm saying, and they act off of the phenomenon. So time take place once the phenomenon happened, and they act off of this phenomenon. Time, you know, if the sun rises at 7 o'clock, this is when time takes place with the event, whether you having to feed the cows, you have to water the plants, whatever it may take place. And, you know, doing the different sunsets, I'm just giving an example, like doing some of the different sunsets. Sunset may be at 6, like this week, you got the sunset at 6:13 a.m. So, you know, they got a sunset at 6:11 a.m. So it does not matter specifically about the actual time. It matters about the event or the phenomenon which is taking place. And even when we talk about future, they don't even have anything in some of their language that determines a future. You know, I think the furthest they look up to I think about 6 months. But they do prepare when we talk about time. They understand like the natural phenomena that happen. And so when the summertime, you know, let's say when the matter of fact, I'm gonna pull it up too because I want to pull it up real quick. When the summertime comes, let me pull it up real quick.
Yeah, Kofi, and I just want to say, I always say this too, time is relative to space.
Yeah.
You know, so the measurement that we doing is between the space of the sun to the distance that we're at. You know what I'm saying? That's the measurement. That's what gives us our time. So the distance between the space of where the sun is to where you are is going to be different than the distance between the space of the sun and where I'm at. You know what I'm saying? Or where Sutekh at. We measuring space, you know.
Right. Yeah. And hold on, I was trying to pull this up so I can see what they call the different months. And like, you know, when I'm just saying like when the summertime comes, I'm trying to see like, let's say October, let's see, it is the sun because the sun is very hot. So they do certain things just pertaining to the natural phenomenons or the nature's natural phenomenon. So they know at certain times, like when it starts to get hot, they notice when it becomes very hot, they notice that, you know, it's time to get out in the field and do certain things. They know, they just say like October. It says in October, it is called the sun because the sun is very hot. So at a particular time when the sun becomes hot, they begin, it's certain activities that they take place that they know that they can do. So time exists then because they know because of the natural phenomenon at a particular time of the year, they know it gets hot. So activity or certain thing has to take place in December. I think they call it give your uncle water water is very scarce for people becoming thirsty and ready. February, it is called Let's Dig, because it is at the time that the people begins to prepare their fields for planting, since the rain are about to return. So they notice all these things. They, not because it's just February, they just notice it because of, you know, the damp weather, the rainy season. It's particularly hot, so they know it's time to do certain things. So they just don't actually act off, I guess you could say, actually off the time or the dates. They act off these natural phenomenons, and the time takes place once they begin to act in real time on these things. A time exists once they are things in the past. May is known for grain and ear, for at the time grain begins to bear. June is called dirty mouth, because the children can now begin to eat the new grains, and it is so doing that they get dirty mouth. So they know that, a certain part of the year, they know it's time to reap the benefits because of the natural phenomenon that is taking place in nature. July is also known as dry grass, because the rain tops and ground becomes dry and the grass begins to be watered. So they know it's time for them to water when the certain time of the year, because the grass begins to get too dry. August is called sweet game, when people eat harvest sweet grains. September is also known as sausage tree, because at this time a sausage tree begins to bear fruit from bears fruit. So I mean, I just wanted to get like some of the names, and how they, people. Hold on. All right, I wanted to try to share one more thing. If I can see it, I'm operating off my other computer here. The time goes. Nah, I ain't gonna go into that. But yeah, man. Let me go to the next slide. It might be the last slide, and then we kind of talk about it. Now here is a lot of John Mbiti books and his contributions. Again, like I said, I have referenced a lot of work from John Mbiti, African Religion and Philosophies. I have referenced this book numerous times in a lot of my presentations. Introduction to African Religion by John Mbiti. I also have referenced um, um, this book. Dang, I'm got the wrong mouse. I'm looking at the wrong. But this book, both of where actually I have this book here, the blue one, the Introduction to Africa, which is the second edition. I don't have the first edition. I have the second edition. The Concepts of God in Africa, Love and Marriage in Africa. I referenced something from here in my upcoming upcoming book by Kofi Piesie research team. Oh, and I think I referenced this book in one of the presentations that I did on African marriages last year. Um, Bible and Theology in African Christianity, The Prayers in African Religion by John Mbiti. Oh my eyes, by the Kaaba Stories, which I think is out of print. And these books that's in blue, I mean in this gray light that does not have covers, these books are out of print. So I just took a plain book template and just pasted the names um, onto these books, because these books are out of print. But the African Religion Philosophy, the first edition, the second edition, you can still buy. It's pretty cheap. Introduction to African Religion, the first edition and the second edition. Well, I don't know if I've seen the first edition, but I know the second edition you can also, it's still available. The first edition may be still available. The Concepts and Gods is still available, and Bible of Theology and African Christianity is still available. Like I said, this wasn't going to be a long presentation, but I wanted to share some information about John Mbiti, because I reference him, and again I use um, reference him in the upcoming project that Kofi Piesie TV research team have. And even though he you know, I don't follow the same ideology that he have, that's not gonna stop is not gonna stop me from reading his works, reading about the contributions that he have, or even following in some of his footsteps. Those books that I have read, which I haven't read, but two books, which is three: African religion, philosophy, the introduction of African religion, and the love of marriage in Africa, which is out of print. I read some inserts from the book, not actually the whole book. And but just because this brother is a Christian does not negate the contributions and the work that he has put in. So John Mbiti put in a lot of work, i.e., field work, study of languages, oral traditions, and writing many texts to bring us information about African way of life. We cannot dismiss or let his works go unnoticed because he was a Christian. We must forward him the same respect as the other great men and women in our past who contributed to our growth as a people. I have referenced John Mbiti works in a lot of my presentations and articles. John Mbiti has inspired me to follow in his footsteps and carry out putting pen to paper and uh, nowadays hands to keyboard. You know, because we're not really putting pen to paper, we're actually typing on the keyboard now, you are dead physically, but will forever be alive in memory, which they call he's a living dead ancestor. And again, he is dead physically, but he is alive in our memory, and I'll forever keep him alive in my memory for the great contributions that he has contributed uh, on a scholastic level, on a field work level, on a linguistic level, and so forth. And I know a lot of people may not know that John Mbiti was a Christian. So I just wanted to highlight um, some of his contributions, some of his work, which I could have went into a whole lot of stuff um, dealing with MBT. Could have covered some of the stuff that I read, some of the stuff that I researched about him, some of the accolades that he has, some of the contributions that he did in his own hometown. But I did not want to make this presentation a long presentation. I just wanted to highlight some of the things and just put some things on people's mind, just because we may not agree with certain ideology that a certain person have. And I see this a lot in the conscious community, which is crazy to me, how um, if a brother believe in something, we won't even research this person to see what type of person this is, or even if this brother have some work, some books, some text, we won't even go read the text. We won't go patronize the person business because they don't believe in the same thing that we may believe in, which is crazy to me. And some of the same people that are spilling a lot of this rhetoric, you know what I'm saying? I see them with the big X caps on the head, the Marcus Garvey shirts on, but Marcus Garvey was a Christian. You still revering and you're talking about him, but you won't go read or support this other brother, this other sister, because you say she or he is a Christian, he or she is a Hebrew, he or she is a Jew, he or um, she is a Muslim, or et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, man, like I said, I didn't want to, do no whole, I could have talked a whole lot, but I will come back next week, and there's a reason why I did this short, because I wanted to kind of talk about him a little bit in the other presentation that I prepared, and then just come back, and then just highlight a few things that he did, and even talk about, which was interesting to me. I could have went in more with the concepts of time, where he talked about the concept of past, present, and future, um, in Africa, dealing with time, even the concept of history and prehistory, which was interesting to me. But like I said, I didn't want to make it long. And even what I talk about living, what they call living dead, the concept of living and dying, or even the concept of human life and the relationship to time. Maybe I'll come back later on and do something on that. But I mean, y'all cop the book, and it's a great article also on someone who actually read and did a dissertation on it, and went through even death and immortality, dealing with African time, that he talks about in his chapter about concept of time in Africa. But a great article is the critical analysis in Mbiti concept of time. Is a great article. It kind of sums up the chapter and that time. And these here are my sources that I use right here. And again, I'll come back next week and we'll talk about the Akabe people in Kenya. They are also in Tanzania, and I think they are also in Uganda as well. Those people that he descend from were warrior-like people. Um, they were master craftsmen. You know what I'm saying? They were well endowed in singing, which was a very instrumental part of their culture, as well as dancing. They established a province in South America, where they resisted the British colony, and how I'll talk about all of that in the presentation next week, man. Anybody else, man, got anything, man? Got anything? Like I told y'all, man, it was gonna be kind of short, and kind of.
Yeah, that was a good presentation, Brother Kofi. I just think it's kind of important to really grasp your purpose for this presentation. Number one, we talking about one of our own, of whom many of us don't even know exist. I certainly was ignorant to the brother and his work, the great ancestor. Prior to coming and meeting the brothers on the panel. And it goes to show that, number one, there's so much greatness that our own have been doing for the longest that it takes the many different minds. And because of the Abrahamic religions reigning for the last, I don't know how long, it's not uncommon for us to understand that we were colonized on the continent as well. So it's not uncommon for, you got, I believe you or Brother Shawn mentioned in a couple of y'all presentations of different African kings who would allow for their people to continue the practice of as far as how different people on the continent in different African regions are, why they have the foreign religions there is because many of the kings decided to allow their people to continue to practice these things after, coming in contact with it, aside from them embracing it because of trade reasons and other reasons. But like we got to understand why would these kings allow that? Why would they choose to allow their people to not, I guess just say, enforce them to not have to practice the African traditions versus allowing them to practice Abrahamic traditions instead or simultaneously? Like, everything is not a black or white issue with this sort of dichotomy psychology that we have here in the West. Everything is a versus, red, blue, me and you. Everything is about pitting against each other. And it's very combative and confrontational psychologically speaking. And we know that in Africa, you can have simultaneous realities happening and existing, not unlike the macro and microcosm dealing with physics. The laws that apply to quantum physics don't necessarily apply to other fields of physics. This pandemic, the laws of physics that apply to this virus and any other microscopic organism or non-organism, depending on how you view a virus, these rules, there's different rules that I have to abide by physically versus, you know, a disease. And the same thing goes for the psychology of our people. On the continent, we have people practicing Christianity, Islam, as well as they got the divination trade with the powder and bones, consulting the Babalawo on different things daily. Like, there's all these things going on. And here we kind of bash religion, but this just goes to show you that you can be intelligent and believe in whatever God that you want to believe in. And that's something that I had to actually learn very recently and come to grips with psychologically. So I'll pass the mic.
Yeah, man. So that's crazy, man. I mean, just because your ideology or what you believe, your beliefs does not make you an idiot. And a lot of times that's what I believe that's stopping us too, man, where we can't get ahead, man, because we can't get past what people believe in, or we have these pre-notions because if this person believe in this or believe in that, he can't, he can't be pro, he can't be pro-black, or he can't be for his people, or or what he, this person is only going to look out for the community that he belonged to, which is the Muslim community or the Christian community, or you know what I'm saying, the Hebrew community or the Jew community or the Buddhist or the Hindu or whatever community. So we come in, also with these preconceived notions, man. So I'll be honest to say, when I first came into the community, or when I even just first came into the community, but when I first became woke or aware, um, I was angry about the institution that I come from, which was Christianity. So I was angry, what I'm saying, this is not our culture. This was given to us, and and anybody that so I was anti, Christianity. I ain't want to hear it. You said all that, or I didn't want to give you a chance. Once you said I'm building, but once you said you was a Christian, I thought went through my phase of being mad, and it's not African, then I didn't give nobody a chance. I wouldn't listen. I would cut them off. I always cut them off. I wouldn't listen. Crazy, wouldn't even support them if they had a business, or or they had product, and a lot of this I see still going on in the community, just because our ideology or our beliefs are different, or we don't believe in anything, whatever the case may be. What I'm saying? It should not stop us from supporting these people or noticing the genius in these people, or negating the contributions that that they did. That's why I threw up the picture of, because before I started talking about John Mbiti, and I started talking about he was a Christian, um, we still revering people now. Most of the people in the conscious community are Hebrews. Most of the people in the conscious community are in the RBG community. They're practicing some type of indigenous African tradition. So damn, I lost my train of thought of what I was saying. But yeah, so, but I mean, I was like that, I was like that where, I wouldn't support or even give these people a chance. So that's why I threw up the picture of Marcus Garvey, Malcolm X, and Martin Luther King, because even those entities that I named, the Hebrews, whether people prescribe to Kemet or prescribe to a tradition in Nigeria, like Seshew or Odinani, or whether they subscribe to Ikume and Ghana, whether they subscribe to Voodoo or Voodoo in Benin, or Haiti, or whether they subscribe to the Gulu Wankulu and Eastern Africa. These people still are revering or talking about these past ancestors who were Christians, who were Muslims, and who was great, and who put their lives on the line and contributed. And a lot of things that they did, we are benefiting from, 10, 15, 20, 30 years later, you know what I'm saying? And we're following in their footsteps. We're trying to go beyond what they are going. So, that's why I wanted to, that's why I put those guys first, man. But anyway, anybody else?
I don't know who's all on the panel, so I was just being patient. Sutekh, you still here? Sutekh?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah.
I think we all go through those phases that you was talking about, Kofi, because I've been there, done that same thing. I had the same attitude towards Christianity, Islam. But the more you learn, the more your mind expands, and you don't want to throw people away just because of their religious beliefs. Like we can still embrace a foreign religion and still do many good works and good deeds for the community, many good works and good deeds for our people. Like, are we gonna throw away, like you said, MLK? Are we gonna throw away Malcolm? Are we gonna throw away Marcus Garvey? Like, and everybody else that contributed to this community, contributed to our intelligence, contributed to us as a whole. Like, most of our mothers and grandmothers are Christian still to this day. Are we gonna throw away what they say, how they feel? We're gonna throw away their works and good deeds? Like, you know what I mean? It don't make sense. Yes, Christianity and a lot of these other cultures that are being practiced in the Black community are foreign to our ancestral cultures, but that has nothing to do with being a good person. And at the end of the day, Kofi always pushes this. The main thing, one of the main consensus of African culture is good character. And also, one of the main consensus is also ancestral worship. So this is dope that you put this together. I think we need to do more of this, and I'll yield the floor.
Sutekh, you rocking?
What's up?
You rocking the mic?
Nah, I'm sitting back, man. I'm chilling.
Okay. I kind of look at things from all kind of different angles, and I would bet money on this. More people turn their back on the church as an institution or academic institutions from misplaced internal conflict amongst internal conflicts. What I mean by that is it's somebody in the family who becomes guilty of a heinous crime throughout the culture. And it goes on in these institutions, so it changes the way you perceive it now. Like, if so-and-so is doing this, then this must no longer be good, or this can't be this. And it turns people away. Y'all get what I'm saying? When there's so many stories of preachers doing heinous deeds, or people within this institution doing heinous deeds, school teachers did this, that, and the third, it makes the institution itself look bad instead of the individuals look bad. And this is why the emphasis in African societies, to me, is we all play a role in the culture. And everything I do, we all want. So whatever I do is going to be a reflection of my brothers and sisters, mothers and fathers and ancestors. Do y'all kind of see where I'm trying to tie all that in? I don't want to get too long with it and, get my baby Wuja nickname back out here. But I think it's more so these type of things that we have to identify. Because at the other side of the coin, the church still does a lot of good for the Black community. The mosque might do a lot of good for the Black community as well. School's going to do a lot of good for the community. we ourselves, the ones that we talk so bad about, a lot of them brothers and sisters do a lot of good in their communities as well. So it's more so, how do we talk about those things that really hurt us, how they hurt us, and how to prevent those things, than these actual ideas of people living their life and pursuing happiness. I can care less about all that part. So I'll yield the floor for now. But I really think it is that. I think it's more so when we see mom and dad didn't go to college and they doing whatever it is they doing, how you gonna tell me to go? Or you went to college and you ain't balling, so how you gonna tell me to go? It's that aspect of it, is, you know, how do we make them understand that education is the keys to your desire? That's where the disconnect is, because we're not teaching education as a tool no more for the proper things education can provide. But I gotta yield because I'll keep talking.
Yeah, I'm actually gonna, you know, and you know, I'm actually gonna do, you know, do a few of them, man, before I stop, because I'm eventually, man, I'm finna like just stop doing presentations altogether for a little while, and start, you know, focusing more on writing, because there's a lot of stuff I want to accomplish before 2021, and I'm going to do it. I'm not going to let nothing stop me from accomplishing that, and hopefully, you know, and that's, you know, writing more books. You know, this project that I got up on the screen, and I will talk about it a little bit in a minute. But you know, get this project off the ground, and then come back with another project, um, with um volume 2 of this project in August, and then I'm finna start working on something immediately this week, and I want to drop something. I don't want to get a name of it yet, but I'm finna start working on something, so I want to be able to drop that in November, and um I want to maybe possibly in December drop volume 3 of this this project that we'll talk about here in a minute, and also maybe get hopefully my brother will be able to drop his thing, because I'm excited about that. So I hope Satepara, you know, before the end of the year out, drop his book, you know what I'm saying? So I just want to dedicate more to writing, because I like writing more. I've been doing presentations for the past three
You
and a
weren't
half.
supposed to drop that bomb yet, Kofi.
Oh, my bad. I'm sorry. I ain't say the name. I'm sorry,
You weren't
man.
supposed to drop that bomb yet.
Yeah. But yeah, hopefully, you know, you can do that. But I just want to do more writing. Even, you know,
Hey,
motivate.
brother.
Go ahead.
Not to cut your bill, I just want to add something that kind of I was reflecting on what Vasa was just saying in terms of how we talk about the education and how we teach in the youth. Something I've been involved in for a while now, and even sort of tying in what you're talking about in terms of writing more. I get asked by the students, especially when I'm in the school, and say the maintenance person, you know, janitor or whatever is sweeping or mopping the lunchroom or the classroom or something, or they happen to be walking by changing the trash bags. And this particular maintenance person, he or she may only speak Spanish really well, may not have good English, or may not speak English at all. Or I can definitely tell that Spanish is their mother tongue. And this is coming from a personal point of view of my style of writing and communicating, my lane of African history and scholarship. I focus heavily in my daily and weekly endeavors on my polyglot endeavors, being a polyglot, for those of you that don't know, is one who is fluent in several languages, not just 3 or 4, but over 3 or 4 languages. And I want to say personally from experience, which is how we speak when we talk about things, when we start to overgeneralize our personal experience, we end up deeming the whole category of the thing or anything it's attached to with our personal experience. So if we experience a negative situation with a Christian, a conversation or a happening or fact, then we label and deem anybody who stands with that or anything remotely related to the ideology of Christianity as being something that we can't learn from. That's a mistake, because the languaging, the vernacular of Christianity in terms of how they speak amongst themselves, how they relate parables and life lessons, like we've stated, many of us come up out of that. And so another thing we come up out of is rejecting any sort of scholastic endeavors, getting away from writing, quote unquote proper speech, which is a whole nother conversation. But where I'm getting to is the ability to not only understand the language that you were raised and brought up in, your mother tongue, but understanding the same participation in existence in another language. What do I mean? Can you do your job in Spanish? Can you do your job in any other language? Can you effectively go out, buy groceries, goods, and things for your household in another language?
Word doodle. Oh, my bad, y'all. I'm sorry. Let me pause.
You want a true story? You want a true story, T'Challa? I'm 17
Go
years
ahead,
old.
boss.
I'm 17 years old, right? I sneak out. I just turned 17. I sneak out. I go clubbing. I wind up in Tokyo, right? I live maybe 2 hours away. I don't know how to use the phone. I don't know how to call nobody. I don't know how to read none of the signs. So I just keep walking and had one of the best nights ever.
You done
Now,
stepped your Spanish game up, Sutekh. I see you in the chat.
yeah, that's cool though. I didn't know you could speak all these languages, man. I've been needing you for a long time with all this Cimarron research I be doing. That's
I
cool.
got to, man. I'm in Cali.
I ain't
What
mean to
happened,
cut you.
boss?
Oh, well, man, it just led to one of the coolest nights of my life. I wound up bumping into people later on, early in the morning, who knew where I lived and we kind of lived close together. And they was like, man, do I know you? And we didn't really know each other. And it was more Black people. Now, keep in mind, I'm in Tokyo. And he was like, what the hell you doing here? I was like, I went out, got lost, fucking around, and got a ride home. But it was a cool little night. But I understand what you was talking about with that, because it was a hell of a feeling. Like, damn, what am I going to do? You know, because I couldn't read none of the signs. I wouldn't
Man,
know
you
how
should
to
have hit me up,
spot.
Vasa.
Man, I was in Tokyo.
I deal with
I'm
that's one of the
seeing,
languages
I'm
that I'm
seeing,
trying to learn. No, seriously.
yeah, my little sister and brother is, I guess what you would call half Japanese. They was born over there. I be trying to get them to teach me some words because they be cussing the hell out of my daddy. I know they do.
Some languages are hard to learn, bro. Let me tell you.
Mm-hmm.
They're very sophisticated.
Y'all, I walked into a building, y'all, while I was over there. It was the Sega sign, but it was an arcade and it was open at like 3 in the damn morning. It blew my mind. I was bumping into all kind of stuff. I'm seeing refrigerators that had screens on them. This was in 2001. I was over there when September 11th happened. But it happened for me on September 12th. But yeah, that Sega sign, you walk into it and it was a damn arcade, like a 2-story arcade. Just an open letter of the Sega sign. I seen all kind of weird stuff that night. It was cool. The story of how I got there though sucks. The reason I was there, if y'all want to know that, is 15, 16-year-old me gets told by the police in the area, we know how to hurt you. We know if we put you in jail, it would only make you stronger. You would start teaching what you know to people in there. I was
You went out, Ross.
Hmm.
Yeah, you went out. Must have dropped the call. I mean, dropped the what's the name? But yeah, I'm gonna come back next week and the week after next. I'm gonna do Richard Wright and I'm gonna do Marcus Garvey. Y'all know anything about Richard Wright? What about the people in the chat? The few that's still in here. We boring, you know. We get there popping in here and we ain't cussing nobody out. We ain't cussing nobody out. We ain't acting a fool and talking about eating nobody babies and pulling up on somebody with the fade. You know, they ain't gonna, you know, we ain't gonna keep their attention too long. But
Hello?
yeah, you had went out.
Yeah, it was weird. I stepped on my front porch. There's a damn dead bird on my front porch and all kind of weird stuff.
Yeah,
It's the 5G. It's the 5G sync. But I don't know where I cut off. I was telling the story of how I wound up calling my father because I didn't live with him for a while up until this point. Anyways, the police, I'll get told when I'm 15, 16 years old by the police in the neighborhood I grew up in that sending me to jail and me teaching the other brothers what I know would only put me in the realm of seeing myself as a Huey P. figure, Malcolm X, et cetera, and et cetera. We know your type, boy. We want to see you hurt, and we know how to do that now. So if you don't leave within 30 days, we're going to kill your mother or your brother. Either one or both, if you don't leave. So at this point, I'm already banned from school. Can't go to school for nothing. Nowhere in the state. Stories behind that, I'll tell y'all in private. If y'all want me to tell the stories openly, I'll tell y'all. And I can show y'all the news clippings and all kind of other weird stuff. Racism, you know, I don't really like talking about it in that aspect because it gets talked about so much nowadays the wrong way. We even discredit those who actually do go through hard times and the ignorance of this. Like, we don't really understand the fragile aspects of a lot of these conversations that we have. You know, we talk about people's belief systems. We talk about our existence and our identity as human beings. And that's a very delicate concept to really convey to another person. So, but yeah.
Yeah.
So when we hear people talk about it bogusly, yeah, I get irritated because I've been through it. But yeah, we'll talk about it.
Yeah, but yeah, like I said, we'll come back and we'll do our action about Richard Wright. Sutekh, you say you knew, not yeah, you say you know he wrote books.
Yeah, that's I don't know much about him, but I know he wrote a couple of books.
Yeah, I'm gonna talk about him next week. I'm like, cause it gave me an idea, like when I was doing his John Mbiti tribe, and then just doing a small little thing on him. It just kind of say, well, man, we combing over a lot of these people that most people in the conscious community are frowned on, but they contributed a whole lot. You know what I'm saying? They contribute a whole lot for us, man. These people put their life on the line, man. These guys was, you know, and women was brilliant, man. You know what I'm saying? And they shared a lot of brilliance with, with the writing. So, like I said, I'm gonna do Richard Wright and, you know, Black Power. You know, I believe that the word Black Power comes from Richard Wright. And the mentioning of the word Black Power, you don't see that. You see this way early. You don't see this, you know, at a certain particular time when the split take place, when you got the segregationists and the integrationists. You had to segregate the people that wanted to integrate the people in the civil rights, and then those that want to separate the Black Power movement, you know, for self, you know, you know, so the word, that phrase came up way earlier. So I want to talk about, you know, kind of talk about that, you know, and talk about, you know, comb through some of this guy attributes. And I actually going to try to get some field work before I do it. He where he's from is, man, like 15, 20 minutes up the road from where I'm from. So I'm actually gonna go to his hometown and record some information. I mean, we're just record where he actually lived at and stayed at. It's a little small town. It's small. You probably could, we all probably could run through it. But I want to get, you know, just get some footage, you know, where he actually stayed at, because he actually moved 3 or 4 different times. He actually wrote some books, and um, I want to just, you know, just kind of highlight, you know, some information on him and do Marcus Garvey, because both of these guys were Christians. Marcus Garvey, we know a lot of people talk about Marcus Garvey. Marcus Garvey was a Catholic Christian. So just highlight some things on these guys, you know, even show how the UNIA was, man, all over the world, and show there was thousands of different UNA chapters, and he did all of this without a cell phone. He did this without Facebook. He did this without the damn internet. You know, he did this without YouTube, you know, MySpace, when MySpace, you know, he did it without all these different things. So, you know, and, you know, even unifying everybody, no matter what belief you had, and, you know, how he's, you know, how being a team made intelligence cool, and, you know, how he was able to show people how to sustain their own selves, and um, 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 you know, build their own. So the next 2 weeks I'm gonna do something, you know, Richard Wright. I'm gonna do Richard Wright next week, and then I'll do Marcus Garvey, whole thing on Marcus Garvey, and show how powerful his influence was, and how he influenced all these different chapters all over the world without the internet. So, you know, and so we can't negate these individuals' works and contribution because we disagree on what, you know, they believe in. And like I said, that's stagnant to what's happening now. We can't move further because we don't want to work with a certain group of people because of what they believe in. We don't want to support a certain group of people because what they don't want to believe in. We don't want to um, you know, do certain things because of what they believe in, man. So the next 2 weeks, I'm, like I said, I'm gonna do that Richard Wright first, and then Marcus Garvey, um, Marcus Garvey second. And I'll also come back and do the John Henry, not John Henry Clark, but John Mbiti. So I just put out this small information, you know, y'all, you know, go you know, purchase some of John Mbiti's books. He have numerous of books. You know, do some research on him, get familiar with get the brother. He definitely is aspiring, you know, and I'm going to carry on the torch and continue to carry out the works that he have laid down before us. Um, and man, that's all I got, man. Anybody else on the panel got anything, man, before I close out the show? Appreciate everybody that stayed rocking with, you know, with us, you know, the entire time. Piece of those that came in, popped out. We kind of had a nice little crowd at first. It kind of dwindled down because, like I said, you know, we're not insulting anybody, or we're not being entertaining, or making somebody the butt of the joke, or attacking anybody. So again, appreciate those who stayed and watching, and we appreciate the people that stay, you know, and watch. You know, those are the ones that do, you know, is not with the BS. They are actually trying to learn, you know, learn something, man. But anybody else?
I just want to throw in, I don't want to plug myself, but go back and watch that African Concepts of Times.
Yeah, oh no, man.
And
That's what you're supposed to do. Plug yourself. That's what you're
if
supposed
if
to do.
if anybody hasn't watched it, it's right here on Kofi Piesie TV.
Yeah, go check
And
it out.
you should be able to just type in African Concepts of Time, and it should be the first thing that pops up.
Yeah.
But I want that to happen, and I'm putting this in the airwaves because I, of all people, damn sure shouldn't be the first thing that pops up on something as important as that discussion.
Yeah.
So hopefully it grows and expands over time.
Yep.
We
Like I
can-
said, I could have went more in depth with a lot of stuff, but I didn't want to make the presentation long because I thought I was gonna be done one show and then already and then just come back and do a little small show. That's why this presentation went that small. Plus I want to do something small, and then we can kind of like kind of kind of do what we always do, present information and then discuss, because that would make the shows long. If my presentation be long,
yeah,
then
you need to
afterwards we build on it, it
you
make the
need
show even longer.
you need to come off your secret society stuff, Kofi, and just do a show showing us your library.
Yeah,
Just breaking down your books again.
yeah. I mean, I thought about doing a show, with the book list thing. I might do that, man. I got tons of
My point is these open panel conversations. We should have more of those.
yeah. We gonna, cause that's what's gonna happen. Because if y'all don't do no presentations, that's what's gonna have to happen is these open discussions. Like I said, because I'm not gonna have time. I'm not. I don't want to dedicate my time to keep doing presentations. I done been there, done it. I've been doing that for the past 3.5 years. You can go and look on it.
Leveling up now, baby. We putting it in right now. We ain't got time
Sound-
no more, man. We
Sound like
up.
it's time to put together lesson program.
Oh, I mean that's coming, and I'm glad you said it because, with what we got on the screen, please go and support on May 25th. The first volume of Kofi Piesie research team, which is me, Vasa Nicolo Gullah, Sutekh, Akande, Iyanu, Oluwa, I might be pronouncing my brother's name wrong. Sutekh Mariam, Herit, Shawn, Khalfani, and T'Challa Bangara. This is our first installment, just an introduction to who we actually are. I mean, I know some of y'all are kind of familiar with who we are because we actually, before we became a research team, we already been doing information. We already been presenting information on Kofi Piesie TV presentations, open discussions. But now we trying to take it, like Brother Sutekh said, is taking it to another level. We trying to level up, and we're trying to put it in book form. So please support us on May 25th. I know we've been talking about pre-ordering, and the website was supposed to be done on Friday, but it's not done. I don't know if it will be done later tonight or tomorrow. I just had to send some more information a while ago to Brother Asar. Seem like I just keep sending information, or but I mean, it's getting done. I know it takes a lot to build a website and for what we want, and we're talking about lessons. The website also going to have we're going to be doing quizzes. So we'll be uploading like these small videos on the website, and attached to the website will be a link that'll forward you to the quiz page, and you can take a quiz on it. We may do some. I'm trying to figure out what we'll do, like if what we'll give away if people are which the information and knowledge should be enough, but I know people they want something else in return. So we might give away, because I got tons of books, PDF books. So maybe we'll give away tons of PDF books, for people that participate in the quizzes and getting the quizzes done. But hopefully this week we'll have the website. The website will be active, and we'll definitely be taking pre-orders, because I'm actually gonna go, when it actually go live, I'm gonna go live from Facebook and from YouTube, and just kind of go through the website, what's going to be all on the website, and talk about the pre-orders, how you can pre-order and get 20% off the book before the book when the book actually drop on the 25th. So be on the lookout for the project, be on the lookout for the new website as well, man. That's all I got, man. Like I said, man, we appreciate y'all. Y'all could have been doing anything else with y'all time, but y'all, y'all took a little bit of y'all time to listen to what we had to say. Hope that the presentation was informative. Like I said, it was a small presentation. That's what I wanted to be small. Hope y'all got familiar with who John Mbiti is. I hope you go research the brother. I hope you go purchase some of his books, read some of his books. Like I said, you may not agree with everything that he had wrote. Like I said, because I don't agree with everything that he wrote. But I understand why some of the things that he wrote because of the perspective that he was coming from a Western perspective. Because you have to understand that this brother is a continental African, but he had no clue of what African traditions, religion was because you know of especially that area. If you study Kenya, you know what I'm saying, it was heavily influenced by Christianity, missionaries coming in and setting up schools throughout Kenya. So, but anyway, check him out. See, check out John Mbiti. Man, on that note, man, I want to say Shemin Hotep, which Shemin Hotep means depart in peace. I want to say Black African Power. We'll see y'all again next week, same time, same channel at 5 p.m. We'll also see y'all at 2 p.m. Central Standard Time with the Mossi Warrior Clan. We'll be talking about the Akamba people, which is the people of John Mbiti, which is an interesting presentation because I'm going to walk y'all through so many different facets of them. You know what I'm saying? So tune in for that, man. On that, I want to leave y'all with this again. We're gonna keep hitting y'all with this one, and we got another one that's already done, and I'm going to be trying to do one as soon, and then be looking for us on all platforms that we support, that we rock with, where we'll be actually talking about the book. So hopefully we'll be on Amara Squad. Hopefully we'll be on the Dagger Squad. Um, um, and man, that's probably about it, man. Maybe we'll get on my brother platform. He don't get that much support, but maybe we'll get on his platform. I can't think of his platform. Our Cuba line something. I gotta get his channel right. Maybe we'll go on there and talk about the book. Maybe I'll try to get Asad to get us on his channel as well, where we can talk about the book. We're gonna just keep talking about the book. We're gonna keep hitting you with these different videos about the book. So go out and support. It's a very good book. It's well put together. I guarantee that the family will not be disappointed with the book. We worked hard on the book. We still iron out a few little things before we send a submission in to Amazon, but it'll be well in, well back before the 25th. We just wrapping up the editing part of the book and waiting on Brother dedication forward in the book. And once we get that, we're gonna be good to go. And like I said, y'all gonna be proud of Kofi Piesie, our research team. It is a well put together book. And I guarantee that y'all be waiting on the next volume, too, to be coming out, man. So again, peace, Black African Power, man, and we'll see y'all next week. Yes, sir.